are you? And I know you're coming here. I hope you're a returning audience. I hope you're here again to learn, because that's what we're all about. You see, we're all about learning here at the Speakers Bureau, and here at the Leaders Edge. We want you, we want you to thrive, not just survive, but thrive in this world, even during a pandemic. And by the way, before we continue, I'd like a little request, okay? Like, share, and if you're not yet done, subscribe. And remember to hit that little bell icon so that we can, you can always get updated on new videos, new learning, and the things you can do in this, in this show. All right. So, let's see. What are we going to talk about in this talk show? Hmm? Let's talk about something that I'm really bad at: staying organized. Ugh. Okay, it's easy to get organized, but how do you stay organized? Today, we're going to find out how our objectives and key results, and how project and action management can help you keep your organization, work, and even personal life organized. Interesting? Well, I'm not going to teach you that. No, I'm just the host here. I'm going to ask the questions, okay? I'm just going to ask the questions. But today we have a guest that is going to tell us all about it. Teach us everything we need to know. Okay, let me get started. Let me get started with his background. He is an entrepreneur, okay? He's a business person. He's an enabler, and he's the project lead in experience management, OKRs meaning objectives and key results, project and change management. There we go. After his 20-year career in banking, consulting, project and customer experience management for companies like Deloitte, Volkswagen, Rolls-Royce, and Lazada in Europe, Latin America, and South Asia, he founded Asia PMO in 2018. His consulting firm is focused on getting clients fast and efficient into implementation of company objectives, customer and employee experience actions, and projects to foster a result and team-oriented environment. What for? To excel in today's accelerated world. Wow, that's big. Okay, so I mean, he's helped a lot of companies to implement experience management and OKRs. He is also an internationally accomplished keynote speaker. Wow, we're in for a treat. Trainer, coach, and he was recently elected the top 150 CX Global. What is CX? Okay, so I think that I'll ask him when he comes on board. He is none other than our guest today, Mr. Carsten Ley. Oh, okay. Applause background. There you go. Hi there, Carsten.
Hi. Thank you so much. I mean, that was a fantastic introduction, and I almost ran away because it was overwhelming. Yes, so I hope I can live up to the expectation you were setting out so far.
Yeah, you will. You will. You will. Don't worry. I have faith in you. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead. Go ahead.
So just to do the first thing you mentioned is top 150 CX influencer means customer experience. So it's a part of experience management, and they are voting every year for the top influencers around the world with postings and with projects. And we were happy to get in there last year. Yeah. So
wow. Yeah. Okay. So 150 out of how many? Well, millions, I suppose. Right. So that is absolutely amazing. And I've never reached the 100 mark yet. No, I not yet. Anyway, okay. So today we're going to talk about staying organized. But before we get into the topic, can we ask you, from your perspective, in your words, can you give us a little more about yourself personally?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Germany with a very strict mother, which
Wow.
made me pretty organized. And even the German culture, maybe similar to Japanese culture here in the region, has an organization touch. Maybe not a very good personal touch sometimes and the friendliness, but at least we are pretty organized. Yeah, I mean, we have to say that. And then I did high school. I went first into a banking career without studies, because I'm from a small town where we can get into jobs without studying. So like what we call in Germany, apprenticeship. But then I got a little bit bored in the region where I come from, and I wanted to spread my wings out into the world. And I studied pretty late with 24. International business. So it's not too bad sometimes to be a late starter for everybody who is listening, right? So I studied with 24, and then during my studies, I lived in the UK and in Mexico already on internships and on exchange. So to really get out a little bit out of the comfort zone and into the world, and also learning some languages, because I'm more adaptive language learner who has to be in the country. I'm not a real textbook learner. Yeah. And after that, I lived a while in Mexico. Through a worked for Volkswagen. I went back to Germany, got into Citibank and Deloitte Consulting. And the fun fact is, in Germany, Deloitte is not very famous. So I had no clue that I'm getting into a top 4 consulting company in the world, because even my family has never heard about Deloitte. The moment when I stepped in, and especially when I came out and I went to Asia, and everybody was like, wow, you work for Deloitte. And I said, oh, really?
Yeah.
But the moment when I got the job offer, I had no clue that I got into such a big international famous company. So this is, of course, a career boost, 4 years consulting with Deloitte, where I learned also the basics of consulting. And then in Vietnam, when I came to Vietnam, I went back into banking with Home Credit, which you know in Philippines for sure.
Yes.
Yeah?
We do.
I was a project manager in Home Credit. And during that time, I got a very interesting project, which was to introduce and implement customer experience. So not customer service, which is more the call center, but customer experience, which is a strategy or a management methodology to really care about customer end to end, everybody in the company, every team. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a project in Home Credit. And after 3 to 6 months, I did the project as a project manager. They asked me if I want to be the internal CX manager. Yeah, so I took over. It was really nice, smooth, from project management to customer experience management. And then 1 year later, Lazada made me a pretty irresistible offer. I mean, as a startup, they have different means, I guess, to come over. And I was very, very hyped to really get into a startup e-commerce world, because until now I was more like in a banking finance world. So I wanted to really experience how it is to work in a startup and e-commerce environment, which is pretty insane and very pressured, right? And very long hours and a lot of young people, and not so organized like banking, but therefore very fast. They move very, very fast, very agile, how we call it.
Flexible, agile.
Flexible, agile, not always in the right
dynamic.
direction like banks maybe, but at least something is moving. And after 2 years, Lazada, I could say now I did immediately my consulting, but it's not true. I took 4 months off in Costa Rica and I was working on a farm, which gives me now amazing skills for COVID, because my wife and I, we are gardening, we have our own vegetable, we are raising our own, we have a pet, right? So I'm really happy, maybe as a side move and a little bit funny, that after my intense time in Lazada, 2 years, I was 4 months in Costa Rica really learning farming, which maybe is a very basic skill we need now in the future. I'm not sure. Yeah.
No, we need not just the future. We need it now.
We need it. Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead, man.
And after that, I came back to Vietnam and we founded Asia PMO as a transformation consulting company focused on experience management. So make the life of customers and employees better, and really care about customers and employees, and not only say it, in a continuous improvement program. This is what both are. And Then we also added topics like agile management and OKRs, objective and key result, which is the planning methodology of agile. So KPI is a little bit a planning methodology of traditional companies. Agile companies use OKRs, and I can explain later why.
Okay,
so that's how we came into that. We do a lot for clients. I mean, some clients ask us for strategy workshop because they haven't set up a strategy yet, so they are running around without a strategy. We help him on that. Some, we help them with very basic action management, which means when you work in a company, you probably know what you do today on an Excel sheet, or you write it down in your notebook, which is not good, because if you are 5 days sick, nobody will read your notebook. So we have no clue what you did. So there are action management system where everybody writes a little bit and plans what I'm doing this week, what I'm doing next week. And it's also trackable, right? Okay. And that's what we do for companies, right?
What I'm doing right now is I typed down a few things that I'd like to ask you later.
Yes.
Because I don't know if it's the time to ask you what isn't there conflict between agile and organized, but we'll ask that later. Sure. Because we have to understand what staying organized, or what it means, or what are the constraints. So I'd like to ask you, since you introduced yourself very well already, and we know what you do. I'd like to ask you why. How do you stay organized? I mean, I have I have an easy time getting organized. I can organize this, but then it becomes topsy-turvy as time goes on. So how do you stay organized?
Yeah, I mean, I use also different tools, but the problem is not tools, right? The problem is that you should really order what you plan, let's say 1 or 2 months ahead, and you write it somewhere down in a tool or on a list. And then you make also short-term plans. And I use very traditionally an old style Post-it for that. So I have a spreadsheet next to me, and sometimes I type it in Excel. So the first thing I have is a 3 months OKR. So I plan what we want to achieve. So OKR is about achievement. It's not about doing. What we want to achieve the next 3 months.
Just to remind the audience, OKR means objectives and key results. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
And it's about achievement. So I know, and you are a part of it, I know that in this quarter, I wanted to be on 3 talk shows, right? And one of them you tick off. Yeah. So that's how it goes, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I have that. So before the quarter starts, I know what we do want to do the next 3 months. Do we want to do live events? How many clients do I have from which sales channel? Yeah. How many of my current clients I want to prolong the contract or have a follow-up, right? So I have that mapped out for 3 months, and I'm not going over 3 months because the world is too volatile at the moment. I mean, we have a strategy for a year, but it's somewhere in the clouds. It's not so, right? I mean, we are a small business. If you're a big business, you need that more. But I know exactly what I want to achieve the next 3 months. And then I break it down in maybe 1-2 weeks to-do list. And then the 1-2 weeks to-do list, I even break down in 1 day to-do list on a Post-it. Yeah. And a lot of people give you the advice, always start with the hardest in the morning. So you are fresh, you do the hardest. I don't do that. I start in the morning with 1 or 2 quick wins, which make me happy, because I need quick wins. I'm somebody who needs to get motivated. I'm not the one who gets out of the bed and is motivated. Yeah. My dog is very good in that. I don't know how he does it. I cannot do it. Yeah. He's super happy the moment he wakes up. But I need 1 or 2 easy tasks to get myself a success. Yeah. Something I tick off, a quick email to a client, a quick follow-up, a quick chat with somebody. And then I go to the difficult task still in the morning. And then I know for myself, which we call biorhythm, that I'm pretty good somewhere between 8, 10, 11. And then I have a massive dip in the noon, and I'm very happy that I work from home because I can take a nap sometimes after lunch, which I couldn't do in the office earlier. And another very productive time for me is between 3 and 8 p.m. Yeah, it's a very productive time. I don't know. I'm very awake there and very productive in the time. So I know that, right? So it's about breaking your targets down in 3 months yeah, and look at that once a week, in maybe weekly, bi-weekly, and what to do today. And then stick to it. Try not to get too distracted. If you say you have to do these 5 things today, and emails are still coming in, I work on these 5 things, and then I do the emails.
Okay.
Yeah? So that's very important. Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say, I understand what you're saying about quick wins.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, the easiest, I do it for a different reason though. And tell me if I'm wrong about it. I do it because if I start with the hard one right now, and then I drag it on till later, and then I'm not finished with it, and then I need to do the quick ones already, it sort of piles up later. So is that the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, you need the feeling. As a human, we need the feeling to get things done. And maybe as a German, I'm very extreme on that. It's a cultural thing for us. That's why we don't do small talk when we meet people, because we meet people for a reason, and we want to get things done. I know it's not very nice, but it's culture, right?
Yeah.
So very, very effective thinking. So, but it gives you something as a human when you finish something. I mean, it can also be in the morning, sometimes Saturday morning, my wife and I clean the house, and then I work. And just the feeling that we clean the house together, it doesn't have to be work related. I mean, I have a dog. I walk every morning our dog, and my wife gives him breakfast. This already gives you a very high sense of accomplishment, even before you start working. Yeah. So,
yeah. And your dog seems all together. My dog needs therapy, so I guess there's a difference there. But then again, okay. So we were talking about, you mentioned earlier, objectives and key results. Okay. Yeah. Somehow for some of our audience, that might not be too it might be a little vague. Can you explain just a little bit what objectives and key results mean? I mean, I know objective and I know what a key result is, but aren't results and objectives like the same thing?
Okay. So in a lot of companies, they measure performance by KPIs, key performance indicators. And key performance indicators are numbers. So you work in a factory and you have to make 50 pieces a day in a certain time and in a certain quality. That's KPIs.
Yes.
Yeah. And very similar to KPIs are key results, because key results are also measurable. But what we add in OKR is the dimension objective. So instead of telling you, you are making this 50 pieces in 8 hours with 99% quality, I will tell you, you make this 50 pieces because we are making a car together. And that's the objective. So OKRs is more inspiring because you have to develop two terms on each layer. So either on the company level or on a team level, you say, what is our objective and what are the key results we measure? And then the next big difference between KPIs and OKRs is multiple key results. So for example, when I say you make 50 pieces so that we can manufacture cars, that's the key result and the objective. And then I ask, why do we manufacture cars? Because we want to sell cars. So another key result is the amount of sales, right? So it's multi-dimensional OKRs, which not only makes you think about your job. So in one of my client companies, they were like, we have designers. And of course, you can give a designer a KPI and say, you have to make every week 50 designs, for Facebook or for online.
Yes.
But I mean, it's a boring job. Every week I make 50 designs. It doesn't matter which company I work for. Now, if you tell him your first key result is 50 design, but the second key result is how many people like your design when your colleague takes your design and puts it on Facebook as a post, which is not the designer's job, right?
Yeah.
But still the designer is measured on the success of the posts. Because a lot of people like me, I click like because of the design. I don't read so much, honestly. Yeah. So it depends if you're visual or not, right? But of course, the design is a huge success factor of the posts.
Exactly.
So giving the person who posts all the credit for or the key or the KPIs to say, hey, we measure you on how many people click, how many people like it. No, the designer should also be measured on how many people click and how many people. And then we ask also, why do you do the design? Because out of the clicks, we want 50 people to buy in an e-commerce setting.
Yeah, that's another result.
You can also measure the design on that. And when you do that, you have one objective, right? Make amazing designs for Facebook or make our customers happy with the design. Can be there. And the objective is inspiring and qualitative. We don't have that in KPI. So there should be no number in the objective. Otherwise, it's not inspiring. If you use number, it gets less inspiring. So make fantastic designs which our customer likes are the objective. First key result, make 50 designs a week. Second key result, each post with your design, 500 likes. Third key result, each post with your design, 50 sales. And then the designer is directly connected to the company's success.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, and in a KPI setting, the designer is only connected to doing his designs.
Yeah, only the index. Yeah,
and that's the first big difference, right? On the setup. Yeah. The second big difference is that KPI are normally 6 months to 1 year, which is not possible in the world nowadays anymore. Even traditional companies have huge problems to plan 6 to 12 months ahead. So OKRs is a 3 months rhythm, a quarterly. So every beginning of the quarter, we plan the objectives and key results for the next quarter. And then we trickle it down to the teams. And then at the end of the quarter, we review what we have achieved and we plan the next quarter. And that's how you stay much more adaptive to the new environment.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because it gives you a reason for working.
Yes, also.
Yeah, I mean, the KPI, the only reason is accountability, meaning fear. Fear, right?
Yes.
But with the OKRs, it's not fear, it's you're part of something bigger.
Yeah. And KPI, the second reason is only money. I mean, you make make the 50 parts you have to do in 1 day, and maybe you do 55 and you get a bonus. You do 47, maybe you get a cut or you can get fired after a long time. So it's fear and money. But OKRs is also, we work on something together, the purpose part, right?
You're part of something bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And it gets bigger. It's not just about making the car, like you said. It's about selling the car. It's about dominating the market. It's about growing the company.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I get it. It makes a lot of sense. I think this is something more used in sports that is more adapted now to companies, right?
Yeah, it comes actually from Google and Intel. So it was started in this very try and fail startup environments, right? I mean, if you know the story of Google Maps was a side project of one engineer where Google had the rule you get like 3-4 hours a week and you can do whatever you want. And they had no idea why they want to do Google Maps, and they tried it only in San Francisco. And later, after they developed it, they realized they can sell so much advertisement by marketing on street locations.
Yeah, I think they earn a lot more on maps right now than search.
And, you know, a traditional company would first research and say, oh, what do we need? Google Maps, can we do it? Can we not do it? But Google goes the other way around. They say, okay, I give you a limited budget. I give you a limited time. And you show me if it works or not. And we make a pilot. Yeah, 3 months, 6 months, OKR based, right? Team based, also very important. Team based, not individual based. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you can show that it succeeds, and then after that they understand why they need it, and that's a very interesting approach. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, there's another element to this that I read from your intro, like project and action management. How does that help us get organized?
Yeah, I mean, as consultants now, even I do a project with a client, I have to have a very good project management. When do we meet? How often do we talk? How do we, in which format do we run the project, right? How do I keep the client informed? And I think that's one of our advantages, that we have that in our DNA, because PMO means Project Management Office. And I was in charge of PMOs in Deloitte, in home credit. So really units in companies, PMOs are units in companies who run all the project, and sometimes even the action management. So the trick here is that people work on a tool ideally and do the same thing I told you, 3 months, 1 month, 2 weeks, and maybe day by day. But other people can see what they are doing. And it says in the tool, what are you doing to which date, and that you as a person are accountable. So it says that this Friday, 6 p.m., you will finish this and this project. And because you finished this and this project, I can do the next project. Yeah. And on Friday, hopefully you click the done button. And if on Monday you haven't clicked the done button in the tool, I can give you a call and say, hey, I have to start now my part. Is your part done? And that's action management. And we want to make it very open and transparent in the company, right? And that's what and this is the basic for everything. This is the basic for agile management, where you iterate and try. This is the basic for OKRs, where people work together on a 3-month cycle, and you measure how they perform week by week on team basis. Yeah, you need the data, how people perform against 100% or 70% OKR. And it's the same for customer and employee experience. When I was VP customer experience in Lazada, we did a lot of projects with the teams. So I had a project manager in customer experience, and she went to the teams and she said, okay, we need a new script from customer service because their script is not good. We need a new web page designed from fashion, because something is missing there, or customers were complaining. And then you ask these people, okay, when can you deliver it? And how many steps do you take? And that's action management. So they tell you, I need 2 weeks time. I will do that, that, and that. And then you ask, do you need support from other teams, which is also action or project management? And they say yes or no, and you help them to get support from other teams. And then you have a deadline. Yeah. And then, you know, in 2 weeks, the fashion site on Lazada is better and has the information the customer needs. And then you can send an email to all the not so happy customers, say, thanks for your complaint. We have now improved. Yeah, that's action. So everything you do, improving in the company or working on something, is action management based.
Because you're managing the actions. It's like Steve Covey's circles, right? I mean, you're familiar with that, right?
Yes.
Circle of influence, circle of concern. I get that. Okay, but you know, the thing that I've been hearing is like for OKRs and even this action management thing, is all about agility and dynamism. Now, I'm an agile person. I think I'm naturally agile because I'm a lazy guy. So I always think, how can I make this faster? How can I improve the process so that I don't have to work as much? That's me, okay? That's natural. But then I find it hard to be organized because my agility always contradicts my planned and organized self. How do you marry the two, agility and organization?
So every let's say brainstorming process, or everything you do in your mind needs a framework, right?
Okay.
So there's for example a 2-week sprint framework. I mean, Agile has the Scrum and Sprint methodology, which most IT development companies are using. It gets also into product development lately. And there you have 2 weeks time to design something and to pilot it and to test it. But after 2 weeks, you have to show a result. And there is a plan for a 5 or 7 day sprint where, you know, the first day you do research, the second day you do the first prototype, the third day you do customer interviews, the fourth day you make the higher level prototype or almost the end product. So you stay organized. And of course, you have a lot of room to improve and iterate, but the result tracking process stays organized. Yeah. So after
Okay.
2 weeks, I mean, I can give you now 3 hours brainstorming.
Mhm.
But after 3 hours, I will exactly come back and say, whatever you brainstorm, please write it down and give me some results.
And that's where the organization.
That's where so you have to set yourself time limits. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Mm-hmm.
you want to achieve something. Because one problem about what I also see about very educated people and also very creative people
Mm-hmm.
is that they get lost in their thoughts and they never get anything done.
Okay.
And these people have
I'm
amazing.
suffering. I'm suffering.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I know.
these people
I am.
like you have amazing ideas, but you have to come to a point where you stop thinking and start doing. And that's what we try to help companies. You know, if I'm in a 3-hour strategy workshop with C-level, and you can make 20-hour strategy workshop with C-level. They never stop talking. They have all amazing ideas. But you tell them we have exactly 3 hours, and after 3 hours, I need a strategy, and that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
They will do it. But if you tell them, oh, we talk now 2-3 weeks about a strategy, and everybody can have new ideas, and because after the strategy, you have to go to the projects and the working and make the strategy. So you have to shift your effort from one day from the creativity brainstorming part into the doing part.
Okay.
And still in the doing part, you can brainstorm and improve. That's agile. But still, you have to be focused on the doing part and not sit in the corner and brainstorm the whole day, because I want you to get results. And we work with clients like that, right? And sometimes as consultants, maybe we are very pushy, where we say, okay, now it's really not time for talking and going back again, one step and another step back. Now we have to tell the teams what they have to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not what they should think about.
Yeah. There's a limit to when you have to be creative. Yeah, thinking and doing is two different things.
I give you another example, and I had this conflict sometimes with my wife. Yeah, my wife wants to make very creative dishes, right? Which is fantastic. But sometimes I'm just hungry, and I don't need a creative dish. You understand?
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I cook, sometimes she cooks. So I come down and say, hey, I'm really hungry. She says, oh, I still need 2 hours because I want to make something special. I'm like, can you not make something special today? Can we make something out of the micro and I can eat in 20 minutes because I'm super hungry? Yeah. You understand?
Yeah. I get it.
That's the thing, the ambitious to make things too perfect. And that's also a problem here. People normally, when they don't come into the working phase or in the doing phase, they try to make the preparation too perfect. And we know from a lot of companies like Google that that's actually not good. You should try and measure results, not overthink and not try. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So sometimes it's just doing. Now, since you brought that up, I mean, this was a challenge, and you implement this in many companies, especially in Vietnam, where you're in right now. What are the challenges in implementing these methods? Let's say with your clients and your company, what are the challenges you face?
I mean, the main challenge we normally face is on C and management level. I mean, it's very surprising that teams normally adapt to these things, because with OKRs and with experience management and agile, we actually empower teams to have more ideas and also to get more data and information about what's going on in the companies. So normally team level, they appreciate it. Manager level also. Now a little bit higher, like head level, sometimes because we make things more transparent. So everybody knows the progress of everybody in the company. Everybody sees it in the actual management. Projects are centrally sponsored and delivered like a PMO, right?
Yeah.
So we take a little bit away the power from VPs and heads, because in a lot of more traditional companies, VP and heads have a lot of power because they have their own little kingdoms. Yeah. And they decide what to do. And now we come in and we want to make it more in a workshop style, right? Discussing it out with their teams and having ideas from the teams. So there we face a little bit resistance, because still Vietnam, Southeast Asia, but we also have seen it in Europe. We have some clients in Europe too. There's still a lot of people who like to top-down manage. You really want to
Yeah.
feel power. And our program goes a little bit against that. So there we feel resistance. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's still the same in any company. I own a company,
Okay.
and well, I think the advantage is that I own a company. I'm ready to learn. But
Mm.
when I used to be in the C-level position, when I used to work in corporation, I was I was I was in the C-level, and I didn't want people telling me what to do. I wanted to tell them what to do. Okay,
Mhm.
so when a consultant comes in and tells me what to do, in the back of my head, why are you changing things? I'm okay with what I'm doing. Okay, tell
Mm.
that to the grunts. Okay,
Yeah.
so the grunts will, and then it affects me. Then I discontinue the program. I know that that's a sickness. We have that. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have that. How do you overcome that challenge? I mean,
I
with
mean,
higher management.
one big part of whatever we implement with clients is change management. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
So at the moment we have a big corporate client
mm-hmm,
in Southeast Asia, and instead of running it only with one department,
mm-hmm.
this OKR. I mean, OKR is maybe more like the organization or people department, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, or the performance department, if they have one.
Mm-hmm.
We were building a committee with most of the C-levels. Yeah, and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
committee meets every 2 weeks, and
Mm-hmm.
they can voice out what they like, what they don't like. So, and you also can, when you do this committee or meeting rounds, and with each level, we do that on
Mm-hmm.
different levels.
Mm-hmm.
We actually take a little bit out the frustration, because they have a room where they can voice out the frustration rather than stopping the program. The
Mm-hmm.
second thing is we do, because we are a rather small consulting with around 10 to 20 consultants, which we
Mm-hmm.
can bring together. We try to enable clients. So for OKRs, we from the beginning, when we implement OKRs, we ask them if we should educate OKR champions for them. So
Mm-hmm.
internally, we have a group of 2, 3, 5, up to 10, 20 people, depends on the size of the client, who
Mm-hmm.
later, when we are gone as consultants, are a team who are driving OKR, who are
Ah.
educating new joiners about what is OKR, who are driving the weekly measurement process, who
Mm-hmm.
are advocates. In Lazada, we had that for customer experience. We call them ambassadors. So each team had a customer experience ambassador. So I don't have to go constantly to the team manager and say, why don't you think about a customer? In each team meeting, somebody is sitting and say, hey, we haven't thought about a customer yet. Yeah. So you
Uh-huh.
try to these are what we call early adapters in a change management
Yeah, yeah,
process,
yeah.
right? These people who are really on fire and say, and on each level, you don't have to only get the high level in, right? On each level.
Mm-hmm.
And these people say, we help you to understand OKR, CX, Agile better. We coach
Mm-hmm.
you, we train you. And once we are gone as consultants, you are the ambassadors and it's a part-time job, right? It's a volunteer job. It's not their full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
who then carry the torch of this program on. And that's very powerful, because people like to listen to people inside, not to
Mm-hmm.
consultants from outside. So that's one of the
Mm-hmm.
things how we overcome with this ambassador or champion programs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Although I don't know if I agree with you with all companies that people like to listen to people inside, but Filipinos, they usually listen to outsiders more than they listen to insiders.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, or but it's my experience
Mm.
that with Filipinos, it's usually they'd rather listen to someone outside telling them what to do rather than somebody from the inside. I don't know why that is.
Yeah, the thing is,
Mm-hmm.
outside is good when you tell and you influence, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not sustainable. That's why we also need,
Yes,
in a
yes,
long
yes.
run,
True.
internal resources who carry it on, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
True,
for
true.
CX, we try not to sell a CX project to the client. We
Mm-hmm.
try to sell a CX program or strategy to the client, where the client allows us to build an internal CX team.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do a 3-month CX with us, and we can do that, it's not a sustainable program. Customer experience means you always listen to the client and you
Mm-hmm.
always act on what the client said, not only for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hire us for customer experience or employee experience, you should either have a team ready who takes over and works with us directly, or you should allow us to build this team for you.
Okay.
Yeah?
So how about we transition to the new normal?
Yes.
How does this help with the problems of the pandemic and lockdowns and an ever-changing environment like things like I've seen in Australia lately where the lockdowns become really strict, or in the Philippines where it's strict in one end and not so strict in the other, and and the environment is dynamic by itself. How does this system help alleviate some of the problems caused by the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, we have, for example, a property management client in Sydney, yeah, and I'm talking to him almost weekly. And
How
he told, and they also do OKRs, right? And he told us that because he doesn't see his people, they all work from home. The property management and things, services like cleaning and things get much more complicated because the rules are very strict, yeah, how they can manage or access the properties. So you cannot plan 1 year ahead what you are doing.
Yeah.
So OKRs really helps you to adapt, and bottom-up program like OKRs or customer experience or agility also help you to listen more to your workforce. Yeah, that's also one thing we try to encourage in our programs, that the people on the ground have actually better insight than you as a C-level. Yeah, and that's also something which is changing now, right? Because it's not so natural hierarchy anymore like before, that you are in the same office and you have your room and people maybe are afraid to go there or voice out. Now everybody is the same on a call, yeah, and on an email. So it's maybe easier to get opinions from the others. So we see that our program helps first on a shorter planning cycle and to make companies aware that they cannot plan so much ahead. And second, in a better communication in the companies. And what I said with action management, that it's very transparent in a tool what everybody is doing. You don't have to run around in the office anymore and check people. Yeah, because you cannot anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I guess my final question would be, or my final statement, question slash advice column, maybe if people wanted to implement the OKRs, let's say, or the system, the stay organized system that you're suggesting, how do they go about it? Do they get a consultant first? Do they contact you? How would they go about it? Let's say here in the country.
Yeah, I mean, most clients make a little bit of mistake. They start with a tool, right? They buy a project management tool or an action management tool and think the tool can solve it. But actually it's a process. So you need human impact. I mean, you can do it yourself. You can hire a consultant, but change management is always top down. So the first thing, if you are still not organized, yeah. So if you need a strategy, it should come from C-level, right? If you need objectives, you should first write with your C-level and your management the company objectives, and maybe test it for 3 months. And if it works, you go down to team level. So it's change management. Don't try to make everything immediately, right? Try with some key teams with action management. We can help you to identify key teams with action management, create also some positive in a company. I mean, we have a client, peer-to-peer feedback, right? There are tools where you can give feedback from all around you, right? Yeah. And we know in this client, IT wants to have peer-to-peer feedback. So we first implemented in IT, because then we have automatic ambassadors who run around and say, hey, this is a cool thing, right? Yeah. So don't try to force these organization steps or these planning steps in massively in a short time. It will fail. And always go top down, win the top level first, and then go down. And we can help you on that. Yeah.
Okay. I guess to end all this, do you do consulting for anywhere in the world or anywhere in Southeast Asia?
I mean, with COVID, yes, we do now, because I mean, consulting globally.
We're online.
Yeah, consulting globally moved online, and even if you are in a country, maybe you cannot get a local consultant anymore, which comes to your office, and due to business travel restrictions, maybe we will have not that in the future anymore. So we had clients in the US, Europe, Australia. We had one client in South Africa. Of course, we can serve worldwide, no problem.
All right. So how do they contact you?
Yeah, we have the web pages asiapmo.com and okrasia.com.
OKRasia.com.
.com.
Okay.
And my email is Carsten, as you can see in the screen, at asiapmo.com.
Carsten at asiapmo.com. Okay, so thank you very much, Carsten. I really learned a lot. In fact, the audience probably learned a lot, but I learned a lot more because many of my questions were answered, and it's really exciting. What you're doing is really exciting. In fact, I'm thinking about doing a little more research on it because my own consulting could benefit from learning from that. Okay, so with that in mind, thank you very much. And guys, audience, remember, just don't sit there. Like, share, subscribe. And if you need somebody to implement the organization, OKR, action management, don't just get a tool. Get a consultant and get somebody who actually knows what he's saying. Okay? So I suggest you hire Carsten for this one too. The next episode will be a surprise guest. I think his name is Boomston Agustin. Yeah. He'll be talking about managing your sales pipeline. Okay, managing your sales pipeline, because that guy, he's pretty good at sales. I should know because I know him very well, right? He kind of looks like me. All right, so remember, learning is a never-ending journey of limitless vistas. Take care. I'll see you next time.